as we commit ourselves once again to the midnight flight on the Coyote Medicine Show. Oh, baby. And we've been flying pretty doggone high. I'm pretty far out there. And now we just busting out there by the Tunnel of Love there. We just went down the Tunnel of Love here in our little space machine, you know, the spaceship Love, Love, which reminds me of a good old cab over truck I used to drive a long time ago that had, you know, multicolored rainbows fanned out across it from that cab clear back across the trailer, carried the theme, baby. It was a beautiful truck, man. And a few stars floating off the end of the rainbow just for good measure. Man, it was a truck you could really be happy driving, man. It looked good sitting out in a lettuce field waiting to get its load. Stuff like that, man. It was a good-looking truck, and it run like a scalded kitty cat, let me tell you. That thing just hauled bunkers. You could maintain a 70-mile-an-hour average on your logbook if it was legal to do so in the state you were running. Of course, back then, we were mostly stuck with the 55, so we had to run our logbooks backwards all the time. You know what I mean? So there was old Chicago Kid, man. Now that's the dude that came up to me that day when I was stepping out of my house to go get the union job, you know, 10 hours a day, easy trucking, yeah, right, up through snowdrifts up to your eyeballs, easy trucking, that kind of stuff. If you can endure that, well, it's a worthy deal. Get paid some good money, you know. That was the important part, but wow, I couldn't do that. This pretty truck just said, Coyote, I own you. And I said, baby, you do, you know. And so I don't normally run team, but this dude, the old Chicago Kid, and I went back a ways. When I first started hauling boats in the boat industry, I'd come over from kind of a shady outfit, a criminal outfit that ran heavy loads into California on flatbeds, mostly steel, raw steel, like big old coils of steel, and things like that, you know, loads of rebar, all kinds of dangerous stuff. You know, and we played the edge there. It was quite the education. It was my first real long-haul job, man, nickel a mile. I was running a team with some real crazy people, too. Some of these people were dealing pot out of their trucks, which, you know, hell, I thought was pretty damn cool, but others were dealing other stuff too, and it didn't seem too cool to me, but we just let them do it because it seemed to set them free. I mean, you know, but it was a hell of an education. I got to know the seamy side of trucking right away. Everything we did in that outfit was shady. It was kind of fun, man. I was running around. I used to wear, it was winter time, you know, I used to wear this big old heavy lamb jacket. It had wool line jacket. Yeah, leather wool line jacket. Yeah, it was quite the sight. And then I had a big old broad rim, like what do you call those things? Like a Quaker hat. It was a cowboy hat, but it was the broad rim kind. It was flat out rim, didn't curl up on the edges. They almost kicked me out of a couple of truck stops for being a miserable hippie hitchhiker, and I told them go get in that big yellow Marmon out there and let's see you drive it, man. Shut him up real quick. But old Chicago Kid and I, now, we went back, you know, to the boat hauling days. Basically got hired at the boat hauling job. I just quit the criminal outfit, you know, because they just got to be a little too much, and I needed to make more money. I mean, nickel a mile ain't much money. Even if you're running 7,000 miles a week, think of that. That's $350, and you're going to spend at least 50, maybe 100 of it on the road, depending on whether you stop at one of the gambling joints or not. You know what I mean? And you usually do. And usually, somewhere in the middle of that week, there's going to be a party down there in L.A., somewhere, at least in that area, you know. You're going to be bar hopping or something. You're going to get stuck waiting for a load somewhere along the way. And hopefully it'll be in a cool place where you can get some action going on, you know. Gosh, you never wanted to stop back in those days. You just run, party, run. I did it solid like that till I was like 28 and had that heart attack. I learned you couldn't push yourself only so far. I didn't realize that I had that weakness. I thought I was invincible. Could work all kinds of hours and then party all kinds of hours and just sleep when I found the time to, man. Wow, quite the life. You know, and I still live a very similar life. Sitting here at this console doing the Coyote Medicine Show with you, babies. It's so much like the trucking days. The hours are crazy, but it's intense. You stay with it all the time. You know, messing with the mojo of the universe, man. You know, you've got the heart opening up, and we've got so many good things going on here, babies. Wow. It's just amazing what's happening here in this world, you know, and we're being like attended to by divine angels, angels of the most divine presence, or I guess you can call them, you know, in equity there really is nothing higher or lower, but understand, let's say these are really, really gifted angels that are assisting us right now and bringing us back into our heart, you know. I mean, they're helping us get dressed and ready for they say it's a dress rehearsal. Well, I gotta give them that. They do have a sense of humor now, don't they, baby? But honeys, it looks like we are headed for the Independence Day thing. You know, it does have that divine appearance to it. Every time I look at it in the shadowy old line of time, there it is, shining bright as all get out. It's the juncture of the universal energies, man. Just like it is inside of you where it all comes together too. And in this earth reality, the same thing reflectively is happening because it's happening in you. And we are the children of the light of the loving Mother Earth, Gaia. We come from her heart. We come forward from her energy. All of us. The male provides the dynamic of, what do you call that? Encouragement. Yeah, indeed. Comes in a lot of ways, man. A little bit of coyote medicine built into this old man, let me tell you. Sometimes it's pulling my own joke just a little too hard and I have to back down. Oh, man, run around. Ooh, baby. Ooh, you talk about back down. Now, back in the early days, okay, I was hired at that boat outfit. This all fits together. Hang on. It's a good story, too. So back in my boat hauling days, man, you know, I was hired to take care of this old man. He's pushing his years up there a little bit, and he's getting a little squirrely out there in the road. They were concerned about his condition. You know, he's a little overweight, and, you know, his old ticker wasn't always doing the greatest things for him, etc. So they needed somebody to run team with this man and help him get down the road, you know. So, of course, I wound up doing most of the driving because he was just in such crappy shape. I didn't want him driving, you know, so I'd work 18 out of like 24 hours, maybe 20, you know. We'd always stop for our little breaks. Shoot, I remember one time we like turned Salt Lake City, where we originated, turned Boston, made a delivery there, turned Charlotte and made a delivery there, and then bebopped on back to Salt Lake City. We made that round in 4 freaking days, man. That was fun. Average 70 mile an hour on that trip all the way across. It was awesome, man. Those were the days when you could get away with some shit. Sometimes, I got to tell you, I got a shitload of tickets when the 55 mile an hour speed limit came into all the states and they started to enforce it. It was tricky business trying to miss them little radar traps. I just couldn't stay out of them. Got 6, 7 tickets, but managed to keep my license together. It was beautiful, man. But, whew, trying times, I'll tell you. I couldn't believe the insanity of it. You know, Jimmy Carter up there all so self-righteous. I mean, I gotta love the guy. I mean, I do love his sincere little heart, but that was one of the dumbest things anybody ever did was imposing a 55 mile an hour speed limit on us because there was, quote, a fuel shortage, and that would save fuel. X amount of percentages, you know, a slice of a percent or something. Those big trucks, it's all relative. Many of them, if you gear them properly, shoot, that 70 mile an hour is far more efficient than it is at 55. 55 is slowing them down. You get heat problems. You're not getting enough air flow through them, etc. 70 is where they like to run. That's their sweet spot, most of them. Every one of them has a little different one, and after the 55 came in, they started building trucks that had, you know, limiters and stuff on them, and this is anyway how I wound up knowing the Chicago kid. He was a young man in Chicago, and somehow he'd fallen in with this boat building outfit there just as a teenager, you know, and one thing led to another, and he'd always been pining to hit the road and drive a truck, you know. I mean, he grew up in the working class neighborhood, south side of Chicago, you know, white kid. And so his world was a little rough and tumble, but he had a little size to him and some bulk, so he wasn't the type not too many would mess with. But he had real head of curly hair, like a white man's afro, you know. And of course, it's kind of graying by then, got little shards of white in it, you know. He's a little roly-poly, and he's just got this long, slender nose. It's just cute as all get out. He looks like a roly-poly elf. And he talks like one, too, and he's got a hell of a laugh. And it's more like a girl's giggle with a manly attitude. I don't know how to describe it beyond that. It was just beautiful, man. So I loved the man instantly. You know, when I met him, I figured I'd get along with him okay, you know. Well, you got to understand, being cooped up in a truck together, it's 24/7. And it's intense because when you're running team, you just keep it going night and day. You don't stop, except for, you know, a little lunch break here and there. Other than that, you just haul ass, you know. You just get the job done, just like we did on that run to Boston to Charlotte and back, you know. Shoot, you just did your thing, man. That's what you did, you know. It was fun. But we got to know each other pretty good, got to know each other's stories and stuff, you know. And we really did work well together for a while, you know. I remember one time, uh, we were driving down, I think it was down in Kentucky somewhere, riding along, minding my own business, you know. Albie got up, you know, Chicago Kid got up. That was his name, was Albie. He got up and was sitting over there in the right seat, you know. And all of a sudden, I'm wearing this pair of hippie shades, you know, little oblong shaped, little skinny ones, hippie shades, you know. I love those things, man. They were bitching, you know. Well, next thing you know, he's grabbing hold of my hippie glasses and threw them out the window. He didn't like it. He said, "Those things look disgusting on you, goddamn hippie." That's the one area where there was a little bit of rub, you know. But he just woke up grumpy and felt like doing something mean to rattle the old man's chain a little bit. Of course, after I got over my amazement that he would do such a thing, I forgave him, and we stopped down the road a ways, and I got me another pair of shades, man. I didn't even make him buy them. I got me another pair, you know. And they were even cooler than the last one. So, yeah, 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 yeah. So that's how I'd come to know the Chicago Kid. And that's how we'd come to run team. I ran him for about a year that way doing the boats. He'd, like I said, grown up in Chicago in kind of a tough way. But he'd managed to finally escape that life. He got into this little boat hauling job. Boat manufacturing first, because he was just a kid when he started, and, you know, he'd been pining to drive trucks. He wanted to get out there and see what the world looked like, you know, be a part of it, you know. So one thing led to another, and one day he was hired on as a driver, and somebody trained him good, trained him in good, and shoot, you know, his experience to me at that time when I was trucking with him hauling boats in those early days, he's like just invaluable. I learned a lot from the man, you know. It was worthy of the little duress I had to go through being cooped up with him in that truck, you know. Sometimes you get to where you don't even like each other's smell, and you'll yell at each other to go take a shower and stuff. You know what I mean? It can get a little rough out there, babies. But, you know, you get along. So I wouldn't exactly call him a genius, but I remember one time, this is before now, this is after, so he quit the boat hauling job and kind of semi-retired after a bit there, after I ran with him for about a year, and I became his replacement, I reckon. And became the only driver in the outfit, really. We had two trucks and one driver, and I took care of it all, man. I was just hauling boats everywhere. That's why I called myself Super Santa Claus, because I really felt like that, you know, delivering these big, fancy, shiny new boats, all hand-built, all handcrafted. Holy cow, it was a quality product, man. I was proud, happy to be driving these beautiful things up and down America's highways, you know. I thought it was a very worthy deal. That's another reason why I got along with that boy so well, because, shoot, he'd been there, done that. He had about 1.5 million miles on him then. And I figured that was a ton of driving. I didn't think I'd ever see that. I sure as hell didn't want to wind up like him, all broke and busted at 50-something. No way, baby. You know, I didn't want to be worn out like that, so I knew I wouldn't be trucking forever. At least that's what I determined back then. Wow. Some diseases you just can't get over as easy as others, you know, and that was one of them. Let me tell you, I did it off and on for like 30 years straight. And that did me like 3 million miles or thereabouts in trucking, you know. And then I would do, you know, what I would do is work 2 or 3 years, maybe 5 years, 6 years at the max on the road. And then I would, party. I'd take a year off and just play, I mean, it didn't really, something would happen, in the course of events, and my whole life would change, and I'd just go with the flow, you know. And then next thing you know, pretty soon, a year or two down the road, I'd be back trucking again. And I'd do it for another year or two, and then I'd go off and do something else. I usually ran a little business of one sort or another. I had a good time doing it too. I really did not like working for the man, and I really enjoyed getting out and meeting people and having a good time with them. It was like the other side that I didn't get enough of when I was trucking. Too much time in isolation and alone, which is also valuable too. That all works together. But anyway, it was good. That's how I would treat myself in my in-between years. I would get in some kind of position where, there was traveling and a lot of public contact, and I had a blast. I really did. Hey, Cookie Man, I remember the cookie business was one of the funnest I ever did, and one that I really came close to great success with, but made a few little mistakes along the way, and sometimes that bites you on the arse, and ain't a hell of a lot you can do about it, man. If you go belly up, go belly up. You can try it again here in a few years and rock and roll. At least you know that you can make a good cookie, and it makes people happy. And I tell you what, that business, I think I was in that for 2 years, man. I just expanded too fast and got myself in some deep doo-doo there financially, baby. It's hard to stretch it, but I did have a good customer base. I sold them in a little convenience stores all over the West here, mostly, what was it, Utah and a little bit Arizona and Nevada, So I was like, I did all right with that stuff. Back in those days, I had a facility up there in Sandy, Utah, where I would bake them, make them, and bake them. And then I had a Ford pick-em-up truck with a big old hollowed-out camper shell on it. I would fill that. I'd bake a bunch of cookies and put them in cases and fill that truck up, and then haul bunkers down the road. And I always carry a box of cookies right in the seat beside me, because I like to munch on them too. I must have ate 20, 30 of them a day. It's funny I didn't get diabetes or something, but I didn't. But I'd pass those things out everywhere I went. People knew it. Hey, Cookie Man, hey, Cookie Man. Free samples, man, they get you so much business, I'm telling you. And a generous attitude, and customer service oriented. See, I learned a lot in my years. These little businesses taught me, just like trucking did. All work hand in hand, And I grew tremendously because of all of that. And, I look back now, and, why I talk about this stuff so darn much. I bless every minute of it. I'm happy with it. I'm at peace with my life, and I bless it because I see that every bit of it, and key figures like the Chicago Kid in my life kept coming swinging in and out. Very, very typical in my life, to have friends that come and go like that. It's just the way life has been this time around. Very little permanence here, except in your heart. And they all carry forward with you. And babies, I bless them all. But he was a very key figure in my life. Got me oriented to life on the road. And, really in his own way taught me how much fun it could really be, though I knew it already. And I got to where I really enjoyed sitting down and driving 1,000 miles. Just watching it tick by. Wow. And flowing through all of that country. 1,000 miles on Turtle Island here, you're going to cover a lot of different ground. You're going to be over mountains and prairies, inevitably. That's some work, babies, and it's a lot of, not everybody's up to the challenge of it. That means you're going to drive at least 20 hours a day, or somewhere in that neighborhood, because normally in trucking, back in those days, your 50-mile average is all you could log, So that meant like 20 hours. Of course, if you got a truck that'll go 100 miles an hour, and you're trucking the state where that's legal to be doing, well, then you can shave a little off your time. And fuel consumption does go up at points like that, but that's another reason I was so disappointed to see the 55 come in. States like Montana, where in between cities and towns, you were allowed to travel on the freeway. You were allowed to travel as fast as you felt was reasonable and proper. If that was 80 or 90 or 100, so be it. Just don't make a hazard out of yourself, because they'll bust your butt quick. But if you're just driving good and you're going fast, they ain't going to bother you. That was the law then. It was reasonable and proper, they called it. Nevada had the same thing in between their cities. It was awesome to have those two states where you could actually legally run 100 freaking miles an hour. I understand I didn't do that too often, really, but I would do it when the occasion required it. When you had to make up some time, it was good to be crossing Montana or Nevada because you could make up some time. You could get to hauling bunkers. But inevitably, like I say, in that 1,000 miles, you're going to go up and down and round around mountains, and you're going to go across vast prairies, and you're going to go, through all kinds of different climate change, elevation change. In 1,000 miles, you can do a lot, man. I'm telling you. That's like basically L.A. to Seattle. That's about 1,000 miles. Now you take that line and stretch it out from San Francisco, and you get to about Cheyenne for that 1,000 miles. That's it. So then there's another 1,000 out there, and then a little bit more of that. Some places you can actually run a 3,000-mile run, like say if you start in San Diego, and you can get up to 3,500 miles, something like that. San Diego, like to Maine, you can do a 3,500-mile trip there. Now, babies, that's some intense trucking. Really intense. You're in heavy traffic nowadays, most all the way, and running with a bunch of amateurs these days out there. A bunch of newbies that don't know their arse from a hole in the ground, and trucks that are automated and sometimes lack proper control, etc. In other words, it's a little more hazardous job than it ever used to be. It always has been a very dangerous one. It has one of the highest fatality rates in the industrial world as far as job classifications go. We get injured more often than miners do. That's how rough trucking is, And fatalities, well, the rates come and go, but they were awful high for an industry no broader than that. Man, specs, what do you call it? Not the specs, what do you call it? Statistics are sickening, but you lived that statistics. They didn't mean much on paper to me, but I lived it out there. Used to be around a lot of different hazardous situations. Been there, done that. The ripening in such experience is incredible. The 6 months Albie and I spent on that Kenworth, awesome. Great time. We had the stress and all that stuff too. You just deal with it. But man, we covered some beautiful territory. Ran into some awesome people. Got some runs going, hauled strawberries. I had an adventure selling strawberries because we lost about 1/3 of a load, but they were still good. The store just didn't want them. So we took them. I had to go out and sell them. Usually you just go to what they call a farmer's market and dispense with it, but it was a holiday weekend. We were stuck with 1/3 of a load of strawberries. And I didn't know what to do. I was selling them at truck stops, and we stopped in the rest area and opened up the doors and started selling out the back end of the truck. And that helped some, but I could see it was going to take forever. We were going to lose these berries. They were going to go fuzzy on us, which they will do, if I didn't get something done a little quicker. So I remembered I had an older sister living there in North Carolina, up in the Asheville area there. I hadn't been up to see her in quite some time. And, got to understand that my family's very different than I am. And their persuasions are quite different. So I don't have, I go see them every now and then. But I don't have a real close relationship with that earthbound family because of just the differences in our attitudes toward life and what we do to get along in it. We're very different. I was like a stranger in a strange land over there. So I calls my sister. And she's this Mormon chick, lives in a little country place out there, South Asheville someplace. Out in the mountains, beautiful setting, man. Beautiful, beautiful. Oh. Anyway, long story short, it's Sunday morning, and she says, oh, sure, I'll go to church this morning and pass out a little flyer and announce it, and we'll have people come. Can you be here by 3 this afternoon? I says, yeah. She says, well, let's make it 3 this afternoon, and we'll have some people come and buy all those strawberries. And hey, sis, right on. So we went up there to the mountains, man. You wouldn't believe I have to take this 18-wheeler down a tiny little dugway driveway going into their place, and it's kind of soft and sandy. But because we were lightly loaded, it wasn't too bad. I got in and out okay. It was just a whole lot of tricky backing and stuff. But oh well, it was worthy of the journey. We got there and got to spend some quality time with my sister, and we were able to communicate. My oldest sister. She was kind of a surrogate mother for me when I was a little baby child and my mother went away for a while. She was kind of like a surrogate mother. She would take me to the wet nurses and so forth, So, she had a relationship with me when I was a young kid, little baby. But, it wasn't too long after that she grew up and moved away, got her own thing going on. So our contact had been pretty limited over the years, though I had spent some time with her. I remember one time I went down to L.A. when she was living down there and helped her move back to Schenectady when I was only 13, man, shoot. So, she and I had some contact over the years, and we were, in a way, I guess, oddly connected, close, in a way, but it was oddly, because her paradigm of mine didn't grow. I gotta love her for it, though. I gotta love them for their commitment to their reality, I can't ever put it down. And it was a beautiful sight. I drove in there down this narrow little dugway cut into the side of the mountain over to their house built on the hillside up in 3 levels. Gorgeous place. Her old man's an engineer, and an architect, and wow, he did a stunner on this one. Built it himself, of course, and he's a precision craftsman, blah, blah, blah. Awesome place, though. Just a beautiful setting out there in the Smoky Mountains, lush and vegetative and tall trees, baby. Hardwoods mainly, but tall trees. A lot of pines, though, a lot of pines. Beautiful country, man. What a great place to be. So I pulled down this dugway in this fancy rainbow painted truck, one with a rainbow that bleeds all the way down the side of the trailer. One of the prettiest trucks I ever drove in my life. I really loved that truck, and it was comfortable and clean and fast. I like that, and it was reliable too. It didn't break down on me hardly ever. The only thing broke down was Albie, man. I'd have like worse than ever. I had to do all the driving because he just couldn't keep up. So I'd only let him drive an hour or 2 a day when I knew he was doing okay. His health was terrible. So again, I was just back there babysitting. This was his last job. He retired after that. He got the diabetes pretty bad. And once that happens to you, you can't drive anymore. You're off the road. You can't pass your physical. You're done. So that's where he wound up after the 6 months. But we had a lot of time ripening together, and sharing tales and partying together. And we were from such different worlds. I'm a country boy from out there in Utah. He's a city boy from Chicago, And it was an amazing combination. It seemed like I always have odd friends like that. But I wished him well. I know he's long gone now. I got to tell this one tale on him, though. We did go fishing together once out. I rented a little flatboat or one of them pontoon party boats. And we went out on this little reservoir up in the mountains in Utah one time. It was back in the 70s. I did a little fishing then. I don't do much anymore. I'm getting lazy, But I could have gone out to, well, anyway. So we went fishing together. And son of a gun if I didn't hook a big one, Looked like about 2.5 feet long lake trout, It's a beautiful thing, man. And I'm playing it, working it up towards the boat, little by little. And son of a gun, he gets all excited. Let me do that. And he grabs the pole out of my hand and snaps the line. Wow. Well, he's a little more into fishing than I was, So I just let it go. I was like, oh, well, I guess it wasn't my didn't want to catch that big old fish anyway, man. I would have had to kill him. I don't want to do that. He's a beautiful little hunk of specimen, man. I did get him close enough to see him really well. Looked kind of like a mini shark in a way, that trout, They're beautiful in those mountain reservoirs. They can get some size to them like that, 2, 3 pound, 4 pound fish are not uncommon in some of those reservoirs there in the mountains. A little unknown little, well, I bet it's well known now, but it wasn't too well known then. But that's the tale I got to tell on it. I think that's the worst thing he ever did for me is unhook a fish, but oh well, big deal. You know what I mean? Live and let live, and we just get on with it. I was there partying. I wasn't there to get angry with anybody. I can't say I didn't say a cuss word or two, because I'm sure as hell did, but that was about it. I just let it go. Wasn't no big deal, And I just loved this guy. And so I was really blessed and honored to be able to partner up with him for his last 6 months on the road and do most of the driving and make sure the dude was taken care of. And got himself properly situated back there in Salt Lake where he was living at the time. And got him situated with his old lady and got him situated with medical assistance and so forth. And then, of course, I have to go to work, man. So I'm on the road most of the time, and I don't see too much of him after that. And I think we hooked up a time or two, but mostly I think he was just going downhill so fast. I don't think he lasted like 3 years. I think he died before he was 60 or maybe 61. But it was a worthy life, it really was. And he and I shared some really awesome moments together. It was just an amazing experience, for me. I don't remember too much about the trying side of it. I related to you the little bit I can remember, where there were really trying moments, but big deal, what were they? Just little drops in the bucket of love, man. The bucket of love. But you see, now why I speak of it so much, the growing, the learning, the instruction I've received from the heart, just by the people I've gathered with at different times in my life. And I'm always hanging out with characters of one sort or another, always, And I've gone the gamut of society from top to bottom and everything in between, and all the shady sides and the unshady ones too, everything. To me, just a beautiful cosmic tapestry woven together with the threads of love, baby. That's what it looks like to me. So out of this experience, see, you can relate to it in a very human way and understand really, truthfully, why it is we're allowed now to become as we are, to, grow this heart into its fullest states of existence ever. Because really, it never did shrink down. It's always been like that. We just lost sight of it, lost touch with it. Our feelings and emotions were dabbled with. Our very thoughts controlled, manipulated. We allowed this. Now, that's a whole other story. But if you recognize it, you can let it go. You can release it. You can be done with it. Love is powerful. All powerful. And nothing stands against it. Nothing. No one, no how, no way. Love will have its way. Period. End of story. This much we agree, all of us. Love will have its way. And we've seen it again and again throughout the threads of history. It's inevitable, baby. Love does have its way. And now, it's winter. It's already won. That's why we're flying right into the sun, because we know the gateway is open now. We're welcome there, finally. We can return home as we still wear the physical presence. But what we do in returning home, what are we doing? Bringing them all back together with us. Joining the realms. The parallel universes no longer are perceived as parallel, but as singular, not dual. You see? So it's not the end of a genderization thing. It's the end of division between spirit and human. And the rest of this earth paradigm, as we call it. It's the reunion. It's living in paradise. The very place we seek to go to when we exit the body here. And now, as I've told you before, this is just a little in the sidebar here, but babies, if you or one friend of yours is dying or, near death, reassure them. If they're to that place where death is lingering over them and they can see the angels and the relatives, the ancestors and so forth coming to receive of them, just ask them to quietly whisper in their heart, "Hey babies, good to see you again. Why don't you come down here this time? Let's go party and play here for a while. Come on into my heart. Let's get this action on." So instead of going there, you bring them here. It's the same kind of thing we're doing with the spaceship Love Tonight flying into the sun. It's the same thing. It's a reverse of old cycles. You see, a reversal, but really what it does is neutralize the cycles themselves. They no longer exist. When these joining of realms, that's an end of time. There's no way to measure existence any longer. It simply expands and grows and lives in joy because it loves to be that way. I know you can feel that contentment in your heart, even as I speak of such states of being. Because we all remember living there at one point or another. For some, it's still pretty fresh in them. They can remember. It's awesome to be allowed to recover these memories in this lifetime. It's a beautiful experience. And all the beings that I have met, human and otherwise, in this lifetime, have each added their own particular ingredient into this recipe of love they call me, Grandpa Koyote, that made me what I are today. You know, an intelligent critter that's able to tap into the universal force, the heart of love, and to be that very creation and able to convey those images and energies your way through the verbation of words, of course, and the adequacy of a giant heart that lives in me and has done. And somehow I kept it protected and brought it forward in this time throughout a very trying lifetime, but a very interesting one. Wow. Life on the edge, indeed. If you haven't read the book, The Atomic Bomb, I suggest you do so. It's really a cool work. It's on Amazon. That's the best place to buy it, but it's all over the place. You can find it wherever booksellers sell books. You might have to special order it. Not too many of them stock it on the shelf, I don't think. But I have heard of it here and there, and I did find it on eBay a while back for a highly discounted price. Shoot, you never know, baby. It's all over the place. I just like to see it grow and grow. I only get a few pennies out of the sale, so it's not like I'm making any money on it, baby. I'm just glad to see you have it. I love to share my stories, as you can tell. That's what I do here, too, man. We're writing book after book after book here. If we ever get around to putting them down on paper or something, I don't know. But we're living it. We live these books. We don't just write them. We are the characters in them. We are the actors in the grand play we call life. Now the actors are becoming who they truthfully are, and the facade falls away. The old humanity does not exist anymore. It's changed. It's transformed. It's become a very real and dynamic energy in this universe once again. Not that it ever ceded from that. It stepped away for a while, yes, for the sake of experiencing and a big commission of an act of love to help recover those who seemed unrecoverable. Maybe creation takes care of itself, and we're all part of the grand scheme by which it does. And it's beautiful. And I can see this active in my life, and I pray that you can see it in yours. That the richness is there in all of us. Because if we can see that, babies, then we have allowed paradise to be for ourselves, and we've made this journey through the sun already. Grandpa Koyote, babies, sending you the blessings of love from up here tall on the mountain, baby, 9,000 feet, but also 80 billion miles out there going towards the sun, man. We're rocking tonight. As we take flight right here on the Coyote Medicine Show. Oh, babies, only on the Hazy Radio Network, the lovingest network around, babies. Oh, hang on. More to come, more to come, more to come. We got, wow, a few more minutes here. And then, babies, we're flying off into the sun, and we'll see you at 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, I reckon that is. 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for the daytime flight of the Coyote Medicine Show. Babies, and if you think we're flying high tonight, my angel's still winking at me. If you think we're flying high tonight, baby, daylight flight will be high as a kite, too, baby. We're building energy towards what? What we've been talking about? Independence Day. Aha. Perhaps the day has come already. Perhaps it has. For you, for me, for all of us. Perhaps we've already lived it, and now we're just in the motions of stepping into it. Oh, babies, does Grandpa love you or what, babies? Woo-hoo. Right here on the Coyote Medicine Show. Only on the Hazy Radio Network.